Sure. So it's okay to videotape. That's great. Let me just, and I'm not going to point it at you. I just need a record.
Okay.
And also, this thing that I signed here, something about billing, you know, I want to let you know that, you know, on my Social Security, and this should all, you know, fall under indigent care. So,
You mean like the whole, like the billing has to fall under certain, do you speak to anybody in the billing department? Or?
I haven't gotten that far. I haven't been treated. Why would I have to worry about billing if I haven't been treated?
I mean, usually like eligibility, they do that before you see.
Well, apparently they didn't do it before, and as far as eligibility, like I said, I'm indigent. I survive on very little.
Okay. So, sir.
And there's a record of that.
Okay. We're going to go to the scale and put your weight.
Great. Where would the scale be? Oh, it's outside.
It's right out. The scale's out.
This one. Okay. Sorry.
167.
Wow.
Okay. Should we get your height? Sorry, so can you face the other wall? There we go.
Wrong
a
wall.
little bit towards me. There we go. Okay. Sorry, you can step out.
Thank you.
5'11". 5'11". We're gonna go back. What brings you in today, sir?
I haven't had medical care in 12 years. I've constantly sought primary care, and I've been denied repeatedly. And, you know, I'm still continuing to seek my health care. And when I've told the people that, you know, I need my health care and that I'm allowed into programmatic access to videotape, I've had no help by anybody. I've had, you know, bad stomach cramps, throwing up, heart palpitations, stress-related occurrences, dizziness when I stand, you know, uncontrollable shakes at night, stressed out beyond all compare, and no help, no assistance whatsoever. You know, inclusive of when I've gone, for example, to the Department of Public Health. The last time I went to the Department of Public Health, they had me illegally escorted out by the sheriff, and the prior time they had claimed that there was a restraining order against me, which there wasn't, and unfortunately nobody has the humanity to enforce medical law, so I've been consistently getting screwed out of my medical rights and legal rights by the Department of Public Health. You know, I haven't had health care in 12 years since my doctor abandoned me. Mitchell Katz, the Director of Public Health. I have constantly, you know, sought to follow up, and there's been no accountability for the lack of health care, the lack of professionalism, and everything else. I'm glad that we've gotten this far, so that I can tell the doctor and establish a baseline of all the stressors I've been through, of how I went to federal court against the Department of Public Health where they committed fraud and lied to have my case dismissed, only to sign a confession 4 years later and leave me for dead. And the whole thing started all over again. You know, right doesn't matter apparently in the medical field because there is no enforcement.
Not good. I'm just going to ask you some questions.
Please.
Are you allergic to any medicines?
Not that I know of.
Do you have a list, or do you know all the medications that you were on?
No, I've only been on one medication, and it was my medical marijuana for anxiety and depression issued to me by Mitchell Katz. When I, you know, and I had to go through the Board of Supervisors to get that, you know, and everything else, because that's when the law originally passed.
Okay. Do you smoke any cigarettes, sir?
Yes.
Okay, how much do you smoke?
Probably a pack every 3 days.
Okay. And how many years have you been smoking?
Probably, you know, stress-wise, probably the last 10.
We ask all these questions to all our patients. Have you ever tried stopping completely smoking?
I'm really thinking about it, yes. But, you know, for me to be able to even contemplate that would mean that some of the stressors would have to be relieved in my life. And, you know, you haven't the faintest idea what I've gone through just in the last year to try to get health care.
Okay. It shouldn't be like that though.
Shouldn't be? Would that be like the signed confession I have from the city that admitted it broke federal law and then left me for dead? Shouldn't be? What does that mean in reality?
No, you said that you going through, it was, your words, how trying to get health care from the couple. I said it shouldn't. It would be nice if they made it, you know.
If somebody enforced the law.
Right.
Well, but when the sheriff and the police don't enforce medical law, what's to stop people from breaking it?
That's true. I never thought of it that way.
Well, like I said, I went last year, August 15th, to the Department of Public Health to follow up on their constant denials, and they provided the sheriff and the police officer that I took on civil standby with a fraudulent restraining order.
Oh.
And when I went to the DA and everybody else and said, I want to prosecute because they're denying me my medical health care,
Right.
shall I tell you the farce that I'm still going through to try to get them to hold people accountable?
What's going on?
They're not.
They're
The DA says there's nothing to prosecute, that it's a civil matter, that it wasn't criminal fraud. The sheriff, the police, the chief of police, they all don't know who arrests for medical law violation. And they're telling this to somebody who has a signed confession from the city admitting that it's broken federal medical law.
So I'm just going to take your blood pressure, so
Please.
that's okay. And I'm just going to verify your, well, after we take your blood pressure, I'm just going to verify your address and phone number.
Yes, and like I said, basically what I want is primary care to
Sure, yeah.
start, because I haven't had it for years, and the ability to, videotape my sessions.
Okay.
So that, this way I can explain what my stressors are and it can't continually be denied.
Right.
And then, when it's on video, hopefully somebody will look into the reality of it and effect a change so that nobody else has to go through the horrors I've had to go through for years,
You're right.
being right
Right.
when it doesn't matter in the society.
Why don't you relax just for a minute, like, just a little bit, so your blood pressure won't go higher than what it is, or...
Well, I've laid down for basically 2 days trying to just calm down because I realize that it will be turned against me just for being, upset at the lack of care and telling the truth when people don't want to hear it.
Take a temperature.
Sure, please.
Okay,
Whatever is required in a valid medical screening examination.
That's fine, under your tongue, sir.
What?
Yeah, it's high. Have you always had history of high blood pressure, or
That's an interesting question for somebody who hasn't had health care in 12 years.
it's hard to tell?
Pretty high.
And so I'm hoping that this medical screen examination will be, followed under the SOAP principle. That, I'm giving you my subjective ailments and that it'll be looked at objectively and then we'll arrive at an analysis for how to handle my medical care and a plan for handling it. That it won't be, short-circuited in between or anything. That this process will be done correctly.
Is that 152 over 100?
Yeah. What I want to ask, I forgot. And the palpitations that you mentioned earlier on, is it something it's happening recently, or?
Oh yeah, it's been happening for, a while now, probably like the last few years. It depends on a lot of factors, but mainly stress and, agitation and, my eating, because I don't really eat well because I don't have anything to survive on. And, just everything else. And of course, fighting the corrupt system, doing what's right. It takes an effect on your body when nobody else wants to recognize the truth.
Question. Are you diabetic? History of diabetes?
Wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
I know that in the past I wasn't, but that was, like I said, when I had health care until my doctor, Mitchell Katz, abandoned me.
Okay. Another question. Okay. You still stay on Hay Street?
Yes, I still live in the same
Okay.
place.
And what's the name of the insurance you have again?
I don't.
You don't. Okay.
I'm on my Social Security, and I dropped my Medicare when I was illegally arrested seeking emergency services and the city lied in federal court, and I went to Medicare and they told me I was wrong. When I went back to the signed confession, Medicare said they didn't care. And I have too much principles to allow it to happen to somebody else. And for them not to be accountable. This is something I paid in all my life that didn't look out for me as a beneficiary. And I have all the paperwork to that extent.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get your chart and stuff ready. Tell the provider that you're here. What time is it?
Might be a little bit of a wait. Not that long of a wait.
You're Jason, right?
Yes.
It might be. You guys can wait here if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So now who's coming? A doctor to see me?
It's Catherine Birchall. She's a nurse practitioner. Provider.
So is there going to be a doctor that sees me? Somebody who has a medical oath to do no harm?
She has a master's in nursing. We have all our.
Okay, I just want to be sure that I'm going to be seen by a doctor and not a bureaucrat or somebody who's going to administratively try to screw me.
Okay, no, she's a nurse practitioner.
That's great.
She has a license. She has a DA license.
That's great.
Most of the clinics here, the providers and nurse practitioners, only have one doctor, Dr. Wong. Yeah,
Okay.
but he's.
Okay, so because that's the whole point. I want primary
she's
care.
a provider. She writes prescriptions.
And so is she going to hook me up with primary care, or is she just going to?
She does see primary care. We see she has a whole bunch of patients.
She'll be the doctor for me.
She'll be your provider.
Well, no, I want a doctor for primary care, but we'll talk about it with her.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. Thank you.
All right.